Napoleon Bonaparte, a name that echoes through history as a symbol of raw ambition, military genius, and the volatility of power. Born into modest beginnings on Corsica in 1769, he rose meteorically, propelled by his brilliant tactical mind and relentless determination. From the gritty siege of Toulon to the grandeur of crowning himself emperor, Napoleon's life was a dazzling display of strategic mastery and personal audacity. His reign reshaped Europe, setting the stage for modern legal systems and national boundaries. Yet his story is also a cautionary tale of overreach and downfall, culminating in lonely exile. Dive into the saga of Napoleon, a figure as complex and captivating as the era he dominated. Welcome to another episode of Plaid Chronicles. In the tumultuous era of post-revolutionary France, a figure emerged who would reshape the very fabric of European history, Napoleon Bonaparte. Born on August 15, 1769 in Ajaccio, Corsica to Carlo Bonaparte and Letizia Ramolino, Napoleon's early life was marked by modest circumstances and geopolitical shifts. Corsica, recently transferred from Genoese to French control, provided a backdrop of nationalist tension that would profoundly influence his identity.
But it wasn't me! It wasn't my fault!
In 1779, a young Napoleon left his island home for schooling in mainland France. The experience was challenging. He faced bullying due to his Corsican accent and lower social standing. These early adversities forged in him a resilience and a deep-seated ambition that would define his later life. Despite the odds, he excelled academically, particularly in mathematics and history, laying the groundwork for his future military strategies. By 1785, Napoleon graduated from the prestigious École Militaire in Paris. His achievement was significant, considering his foreign origins and the elitist nature of the institution. Starting his military career as a second lieutenant in an artillery regiment, he quickly demonstrated a keen understanding of military tactics and artillery skills that would later prove pivotal in his campaigns. Napoleon's rise to prominence was meteoric. In 1793, during the tumultuous years following the French Revolution, he gained fame for his decisive role in lifting the siege of Toulon. This was a significant moment in the Revolutionary Wars where he outmaneuvered British forces and showcased his military genius. His actions in Toulon, especially his use of artillery, were noted for their innovative and bold strategies, earning him recognition and rapid promotion within the military ranks. The year 1795 marked a turning point. On October 5th, Napoleon played a crucial role in quelling the royalist uprising in Paris, a moment fraught with political tension. France was grappling with the aftermath of its revolution, and the streets of Paris were a hotspot of conflict between various factions vying for control. Napoleon's decisive action in defending the National Convention against the royalist insurgents was a testament to his loyalty to the revolutionary government. His strategy involved a whiff of grape shot, a tactic that dispersed the mob effectively and demonstrated his ruthless efficiency. This event not only suppressed the immediate threat, but also signaled his emergence as a political figure. The Directory, the governing body of France at that time, recognized his potential, leading to his rapid promotion to Major General. This period of Napoleon's life laid the foundation for what was to come. His early experiences in Corsica instilled in him a sense of outsider status that drove his ambitions. His education in France equipped him with the intellectual and military prowess needed for his future endeavors.
Bring it on!
And his initial military engagements showcased his tactical brilliance and unyielding determination. These years were not just a prelude, but a crucible that shaped one of history's most formidable and controversial leaders, setting the stage for his subsequent rise to power and the reshaping of Europe under his influence. In the late 18th century, Europe was a continent in flux, a landscape ripe for the ambitions of a military genius like Napoleon Bonaparte. Between 1796 and 1797, Napoleon's star ascended rapidly as he led the French army to a series of stunning victories in Italy. His campaigns were marked by rapid maneuvers and bold tactics that bewildered his enemies and electrified France. The Italian campaign was not just a series of military engagements, it was a demonstration of revolutionary fervor, with Napoleon spreading the ideals of the French Revolution even as he conquered. Napoleon's strategy in Italy was characterized by lightning-fast offensives, disrupting the traditionally slower pace of warfare of the time. He often forced his enemies into unfavorable positions, using the terrain to his advantage and relying on the element of surprise. The Battle of Lodi and the subsequent capture of Milan were particularly notable, showcasing his audacity and tactical brilliance. These victories were not only military triumphs but also political statements, as Napoleon sought to liberate the Italian states from Austrian influence, positioning himself as a liberator in the eyes of the Italian people. In 1798, Napoleon embarked on the Egyptian campaign, a bold endeavor aimed at disrupting British trade routes to India. This campaign was as much about science and culture as it was about military conquest. Napoleon brought with him a cohort of scientists and scholars, turning the expedition into an intellectual enterprise. However, despite some initial successes, such as the Battle of the Pyramids, the campaign ultimately faltered. The destruction of the French fleet at the Battle of the Nile by Admiral Horatio Nelson was a significant setback, stranding Napoleon's forces in Egypt and tarnishing the campaign's success.
To him, this isn't vengeance.
Napoleon's return to France in 1799 was marked by a political landscape in disarray. Seizing the moment, he overthrew the French Directory in a coup d'etat on November 9, 1799, 18 Brumaire. This coup was a masterstroke of political maneuvering, leveraging his military successes to establish himself as a political leader. He became the first consul of the French Republic, effectively holding dictatorial powers. This marked the end of the revolutionary government and the beginning of Napoleon's rule. The consulate period from 1799 to 1804 was a time of significant reform and stabilization in France. In 1800, Napoleon's military prowess was on full display at the Battle of Marengo, where he defeated the Austrians in a closely contested engagement. This victory secured his position in France and Europe. One of his most enduring reforms was the establishment of the Napoleonic Code in 1802. This legal code reformed French law and became a model for legal systems across the continent. It emphasized principles like equality before the law and the secular nature of the state, echoing the Enlightenment ideals that had fueled the revolution. Another significant achievement of this period was the Concordat of 1801 with the Catholic Church. This agreement helped to heal the rift between the French state and the Church, a divide that had widened during the Revolution. By re-establishing the Catholic Church in France while maintaining state control, Napoleon showed his skill in navigating complex political landscapes. In 1802, Napoleon was elected consul for life, a testament to his control over the French political system and his popularity among the people. His ascent from a Corsican outsider to the undisputed leader of France was marked by a combination of military genius, political acumen, and an ability to capitalize on the tumultuous times. His impact during this period laid the groundwork for his later proclamation as emperor, forever altering the course of European history. On December 2, 1804, in the historic Notre Dame Cathedral, a momentous event unfolded that would forever change the face of Europe. Napoleon Bonaparte, already ruling as the first consul of the French Republic, took the imperial crown and placed it upon his head, proclaiming himself Emperor of the French. This dramatic act, laden with symbolism, was a powerful declaration of his absolute power and the transformation of the French Republic into an empire. The coronation, attended by Pope Pius VII, was a masterful blend of political theater and historical resonance, echoing the traditions of the Holy Roman Empire and Charlemagne. As emperor, Napoleon embarked on a series of military campaigns that are amongst the most celebrated in military history. Between 1805 and 1807, he faced the Third Coalition, an alliance of European powers determined to curb his expansion. The Battle of Austerlitz, fought on December 2, 1805, often regarded as his masterpiece, saw Napoleon decisively defeat the Russian and Austrian armies. This victory was not just a military triumph, but a demonstration of his genius in strategy and tactics. His ability to anticipate his enemies' moves and exploit their weaknesses was unparalleled. The victories at Jena and Friedland against Prussia and Russia, respectively, further solidified his dominance over continental Europe. These battles showcased Napoleon's mastery in mobilizing large armies rapidly and his skill in using the central position to divide and conquer his enemies. By defeating the major powers of Europe, Napoleon reshaped the European political landscape, dissolving the Holy Roman Empire and creating a series of satellite states.
I am the king!
In 1806, Napoleon introduced the Continental System, an economic blockade against Britain aiming to destroy its economic base. This was a bold move reflecting his understanding of the significance of economic warfare. However, the Continental System was met with mixed results, leading to economic hardship in Europe and strained relations with his allies and subject states. The height of Napoleon's empire was also a time of personal changes. In 1809, after a series of complex political and personal considerations, he divorced Josephine de Beauharnais, his first wife, due to her inability to bear him an heir. He then married Archduchess Marie-Louise of Austria in 1810, a union that symbolized the consolidation of his power and a strategic alliance with one of Europe's major powers. This marriage was not just a political alliance, but also a personal relationship that brought him happiness, at least for a time. The birth of his son, Napoleon Francois Joseph Charles Bonaparte, in 1811, known as the King of Rome, was a moment of immense personal joy and political significance for Napoleon. It secured the dynastic succession, which was a crucial aspect of his vision for the empire. His son's birth symbolized the potential for a lasting Bonaparte dynasty that would continue to influence European affairs. During this period, Napoleon was at the zenith of his power. He had reshaped the map of Europe, spread the ideals of the French Revolution, and established a new order in the continent. However, this period of seemingly unassailable power also sowed the seeds for future challenges. His reforms and military campaigns had far-reaching consequences, stimulating nationalist sentiments in various parts of Europe and straining his relations with other major powers. As we delve into the complexities of this era, it becomes evident that Napoleon's story is not just one of triumph, but also of the intricate interplay of power, ambition, and the changing dynamics of early 19th century Europe. The tale of Napoleon Bonaparte, once the unassailable ruler of Europe, took a dramatic turn beginning in 1812. This year marked the commencement of his decline, a sequence of events steeped in overreach and miscalculation, culminating in his first exile. The Russian campaign of 1812 was a pivotal moment, a disastrous endeavor that exposed the limits of Napoleon's military genius and the vulnerabilities of his grand army. Marching into Russia with an army of over 600,000 men, he aimed to force Tsar Alexander I back into the continental system against Britain. However, the Russian strategy of scorched earth, coupled with the harsh winter, devastated his forces.
Hurt people.
The retreat from Moscow was a harrowing ordeal, marked by starvation, bitter cold, and constant harassment by Russian forces. Of the grand army that entered Russia, only a fraction returned, a catastrophic loss that significantly weakened Napoleon's grip on power. The year 1813 brought further setbacks. The Battle of Leipzig, often called the Battle of the Nations, was a decisive defeat for Napoleon. This battle, involving multiple European powers, including Austria, Prussia, Russia, and Sweden against France, was one of the largest and bloodiest of the Napoleonic Wars. Napoleon's defeat at Leipzig led to the loss of his control over Germany and significantly diminished his influence in Europe. In April 1814, as the coalition forces invaded France, Napoleon's situation became untenable. Paris fell to the Allies, and Napoleon, facing overwhelming odds and internal dissent, abdicated the throne. He was then exiled to Elba, a small Mediterranean island. This period marked a dramatic fall from power for a man who had once dominated Europe. His exile to Elba, though a significant blow, was marked by his attempt to create a semblance of governance, reforming the island's infrastructure and legal system, showcasing his unceasing drive for leadership and reform. However, Napoleon's story was far from over. In March 1815, in a move that stunned Europe, he escaped from Elba and returned to France. This period, known as the 100 Days, saw a remarkable resurgence of his power. Landing in France, he was met not with opposition, but with widespread support, particularly from the army. In an astonishing turn of events, King Louis XVIII fled, and Napoleon once again took control of France, rekindling his ambitions to restore the French Empire. His return to power, however, was short-lived. The Battle of Waterloo on June 18, 1815, was the final blow. Faced with a resolute coalition led by the Duke of Wellington and Gebhard Leberecht von Blücher, Napoleon's forces were decisively defeated. This battle, fought in Belgium, was a tactical and strategic confrontation marked by intense fighting and significant casualties on both sides. Napoleon's defeat at Waterloo ended his rule and his military career. On June 22, 1815, Napoleon abdicated for the second time, marking the end of his tumultuous rule. This abdication led to his final exile to St. Helena, a remote island in the South Atlantic. The journey from the apex of power to a remote island exile encapsulates the dramatic rise and fall of one of history's most iconic figures.
I don't care.
Napoleon's decline was not just a series of military defeats, it was the culmination of the complex interplay of his overreaching ambitions, the resilience of his adversaries, and the shifting alliances of a Europe weary of continuous warfare. His story, a blend of triumph and tragedy, continues to fascinate and instruct, a testament to the enduring complexity of historical figures and the times they shape. Beyond his military and political achievements, Napoleon left an indelible mark on Europe's cultural landscape. The Napoleonic era inspired a wealth of art, literature, and cultural works. This period witnessed the flourishing of the neoclassical style in art, reflecting the classical ideals that Napoleon admired. Literature of the time often grappled with themes of heroism, power, and the tumult of the era, with writers such as Stendhal and Goethe drawing inspiration from the events of the time. Napoleon's impact extended to significant legal and administrative reforms, most notably the Napoleonic Code, which reformed and codified laws in France and influenced legal systems across Europe. His administrative reforms, including the centralization of government and the modernization of the French bureaucracy, had lasting effects on the governance of France and other European states. As a historical figure, Napoleon remains a subject of intense debate. Viewed as a military genius and a champion of the Enlightenment ideals by some, he is also criticized as a tyrant and a warmonger by others. His legacy is a dichotomy reflective of the complexities of his personality and the era he dominated. Napoleon's life story is a testament to the intricate interplay of ambition, power, and leadership. It offers valuable lessons and insights not just in the context of historical study, but also in contemporary considerations of political and military leadership. His rise and fall, set against the backdrop of a tumultuous period in European history, continue to captivate and instruct, serving as a compelling narrative of human endeavor and the vicissitudes of fortune. If this narrative resonated with you, do support us. Hit that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe. Thank you for staying with us to the end. See you in the next video on Plaid Chronicles.